Hello, Programming 12. Today we're going to be looking at how do you aim a bullet, specifically at a target in the Asteroids game. So, for example, if we had our lovely UFO here flying across the screen, pretend this whole screen is, our surface to play the game of Asteroids, and here is our spaceship. We want to figure out how do we give that bullet, the UFO's bullet, the velocity so that it's basically flying towards the spaceship. How do we get that p vector? And essentially the important part of it is we need to figure out two components. We need to figure out the rise and the run of that line, and we're given 2 points. I bet you could do that in Math 10. You probably were able to figure out, hey, I've given these 2 points on a line. What is the line slope? Or what is the y equals mx plus b form or something? So essentially, we're going to have the same deal. So we need to figure out what is the run, or the x component of that vector. And we need to figure out what is the rise. I'm running out of colors. Surely I can use red, right? Yeah, there we go. I'm trying to use red. There we go. And so what is the rise as well? So we want to figure out what those two components are, and then we can make the p vector. We'll first talk about just the math, and then we'll look at the code and think about, well, we won't look at the code, but we'll discuss the code, figure out where to put the code, and what kind of changes we're going to have to make to get this all to work. Okay, so first of all, if this is our situation, then in order to find out what is the the vertical and horizontal components of this line, the yellow part of the triangle and the red, we basically are just going to be taking the difference of the coordinates. So to find the yellow line, we'll take the difference of the x coordinates, and the red line will find the difference of the y coordinates. Hey, why does this work? Well, just think about this. I'm going to put out some little dotted lines here. So here is sort of the x coordinate, y coordinate and x coordinate of the UFO, and the same kind of concept here for our spaceship. Here is sort of the x and y components of this thing. Whoops, I didn't really nail that one. I don't know if it matters. Here we go. Thanks for your patience and me playing around with this. So if I'm trying to figure out what is that yellow line, basically I can take the x coordinate of the spaceship, which is, if this was the edge of the screen over here, and this is the edge of the screen, then that's going to be this quantity here, right? That's the x coordinate of the ship. You think of the number line along the top. And then the x coordinate of the UFO is this quantity here. So if I take this, blue quantity and I subtract the green quantity, whoops, didn't nail the green there, the green quantity, I'm left over with sort of this yellow quantity here. And that is exactly what we want. That's down here. That is the x component, or the run of this line. So it's just going to be the difference of the x coordinates. So, whatever the spaceship's x is, we'll call that x2, and its y will be y2. And then we have the UFO will be x1, y1. So we can find the yellow line by just doing x2 minus x1. This might look familiar if you've done this in math class, the slope point form, for example. So now let's do the same thing for the red line, and if you guessed, oh yeah, it's just going to be the difference of the y coordinates. Oh, absolutely, you are correct. And the reason that works is because here's our y coordinate, that's that quantity, minus our, of the spaceship that is, minus the y coordinate of the UFO is going to give us the, the distance of this line. The blue minus the green gives us the red. So that's going to be, y2 minus y1. So that's the math. Once I have done those calculations, then awesome. I can go ahead and build the p vector. I'll probably have to do a little bit of setting of the magnitude to make sure it's going the right speed, but those are the numbers I need. So what is this going to look like inside of our code? So I would suggest, so inside of the UFO class, this is important. We're going to determine all this information inside of the UFO class, because that's where we have the information about the UFO's X and Y, as well as the ship's X and Y. So inside of the UFO class, we can calculate the red. Let's say we just make a variable, int Vx. Oh no, sorry, it's Vy, isn't it? It's int Vy. We can calculate that by taking the difference of those coordinates. So what is the ship's y coordinate? Well, it's going to be, my ship. Oops, sorry. My ship dot, location. I'm going to put LOC, but yours might be location dot y. And what is the y1? Well, it's the UFOs. So that's location dot y. Inside of the UFO, location dot y just refers to, the UFO's location. And of course, my ship, not surprisingly, refers to the ship's location. So there we got our y2 minus y1 calculation. What about for the x? It's going to be the same kind of idea. I think you can imagine this one. Vx is going to be the same sort of idea. So we're going to have, my ship dot location dot x minus location dot x. Again, this is, oops, the difference between the ship's x coordinate. Oh gosh, I screwed that up. Ship's x coordinate and the UFO's x coordinate. So those are those calculations there. Just to be clear, that's not a division. That's just me highlighting what those things are. So once you've done those calculations, then you can build the bullet. You can't create the bullet's velocity inside of the UFO class, though. You have to pass this information over to the actual UFO bullet class, probably through the constructor. So here's what I would do afterwards. I'll just make this green. I would do something like, let's see, maybe I'll put it down here. My objects dot add new, and then whatever the name of your class is for your UFO bullet. I'll just assume it's UFO bullet. And then you can send it information. This is very much like the Asteroids constructor. Remember the second constructor we built for the asteroid? We needed to send the asteroid information when it's split. So those two new baby asteroids that come out, we need to send those details. So what do we need to send? Well, we probably need to send the location of where the bullet needs to go. Just like the asteroids, the baby asteroids that split off from the main ones, we needed to tell them where to go. So we probably need to tell the UFO bullets where to go as well. So I'd probably send it along the UFO's location. Oops, sorry. Location.x, location.y. And I'd also want to send this Vx and Vy information. So just to be clear that these are matching up with those calculations, I would send Vx and also Vy as well. And those are just coming from here. So just to be clear, this is coming from here, and this is coming from here. So what do I do with that information inside of the UFO bullet? Well, in the UFO bullet's constructor, we're going to take in that information, and we're going to build the velocity vector from, this information here, and we'll build the location vector for the bullet from this information here. So that's going to be sort of the pattern. And again, if you're kind of struggling to put this all together, if none of this is making sense, you might want to go back and look at the asteroid, because this is very similar to what we do with the asteroid. In the asteroid, we only send it a location. We don't send it a velocity. The asteroids determine their own velocity. But this is just one step further. We're also determining the location, and we're going to also, further calculate velocity and send it along. So again, this is all inside of the UFO class. What it looks like in the UFO bullet class and its constructor, I'm going to leave that as an exercise for you to try to figure out. Hopefully that makes sense. And if not, then I'll be around to help you out as you're working with it and thinking about it and trying to make it make sense. So hopefully that helps. And I think if I don't put a right angle here, some some math teacher somewhere will get mad at me, so I'll just throw it in the end. Anyways, thank you so much. I appreciate your effort, and I appreciate you not giving up on these if you're having trouble with it. And we'll talk more about it when I see you next. Okay, thanks everybody.